And welcome to the Scarlet and Great podcast, Scarlet and Great Empire on YouTube. Ohio State football with Scarlet and Great. Thank you guys for joining us. We took a week off. We had some technical difficulties with certain things. We just wanted to get everything up and running in the right order to come back, and we're coming back strong with Kieran Shanker because we're talking spring game football. Kieran, our resident X and O's expert. Kieran, I'll tell you what. I want to tell everybody first, because of guys like Kieran, because of the guests we have, please subscribe to the show. 1,000 subscribers we're trying to reach for the YouTube Partnership Program. We appreciate all of you who've been here with us through thick and thin. We promise to bring you better and better content as we move forward. God bless you guys. Johnny sends you his best wishes. Obviously, still dealing with some domestic responsibilities. He will be back sooner than you think, though. He is actually getting closer and closer to that return. Uh, Kieran Shanker, our resident X and O's expert, as I mentioned. Kieran, buddy, pal, first of all, you watched the spring game. Did you have a good time watching some Buckeye football? The last Buckeye football you will see till August.
Yeah, a lot of excitement here on campus. I was able to sit down and watch it. It was great. I had work right after, so wasn't able to make the game. But overall, yeah, a lot of people, a lot of students here are excited. Maybe not as much this week as it is officially finals week here at the Ohio State University. So we do have football to look forward to right after, as it'll come in September, late August, against Minnesota on a Thursday night, which will be a little bit weird. We haven't had a Thursday night game since 2017 against Indiana.
And that turned out okay for us, but we don't have an experienced quarterback this time around like we did then with JT Barrett. And I know many of you who have ill feelings towards JT as a quarterback, not personally. JT is a stand up person, as we all know. We have nothing personal against him. I actually liked him. I know Kieran liked him. And it was great to have a tested quarterback going into that road game against a fired up Tom Allen Indiana team. Tom Allen, to all his credit, classy guy, done a great job with Indiana. But we are talking defense this episode because that's what everybody wants to know, right? And I'll be honest with you, it is limited what we can get from the spring game. But you know what? Kieran can see some things on the film that not the average fan like myself, like Johnny, we can see. Uh, so I'm hoping we could bring some insight to what we're going to be looking at maybe this fall. I do, Kieran. Now we are Kerry Combs, much maligned defensive coordinator from last year, which maybe is a little. Some of it's deserved, some of it's kind of like okay, a little over the top because of the conditions last year that he had to coach under. But that being said, he's on this year. We're all hey, it's a regular season now. Let's go full blast, full speed ahead. We're moving to a 4-2-5 defense to better combat. We were more of a 4-3 base last year. 4-2-5 defense this year with a hybrid safety linebacker or kind of a roamer bullet roll. Right now at bullet roll looks to be like Craig Young, maybe Ronnie Hickman could figure into that. Latham Ransom plays a little bit into that as well as maybe. It's a good way to get some of your better athletes on the field. Kieran, explain to us really quick what the 4-2-5 defense, how is it an advantage for Ohio State going into this year, or is it something you disagree with? How do you feel about it?
I think it could be a big advantage because of the way that they're going to do it with having a full-time slot corner safety, whether that's Marcus Williams or it could be Latham Ransom. They were getting he wasn't playing. Williamson wasn't playing, correct? But Ransom.
No, he wasn't. Neither was Cam
Ransom
Brown or Sevyn Banks for that matter.
Yeah, so it was Cam Martinez, Latham Ransom in that slot role. And then to the bullet role, what everyone wants to hear about, Craig Young or Ronnie Hickman. I think the advantage to having three defensive backs on the field with this single high defense that they want to run is that when you have one safety high with different formational flips and stuff, it can be a lot easier with more athletes on the field to do coverage rotations, to have the matchups you want on the field. And I think Young and Hickman both showed some really good things. I think Young probably flashed the most because it's hard to miss a guy who's over 6'4" and around 230 pounds. A guy who's got a linebacker body type, but a safety level of athleticism. And then Hickman, who's a bigger safety at 6'1", just around 205. They showed some good things, especially in zone coverage. And they're mainly going to be asked to either cover the tight end or cover the intermediate section of the field, potentially cover the seams. and they're going to line up always by the tight end and then the slot because every offense we're going to face is typically going to be a one tight end, three receivers with one running back type of offense. And the tight end is typically going to play on one side and the slot on the other just so they can be balanced. So it makes it easy to keep it for the defense formationally because the bullet can line up about 6, 8 yards at most off the line of scrimmage on the tight end side. You also saw the bullet line up closer to the line of scrimmage as well. So there's a lot of flexibility here. And I thought the linebackers played well too. It all comes together as a unit. When you have a front, now 6 defenders in the box at all times who can get the job done, play instinctively. I have full confidence based on what we saw with some of the younger guys like Jack Sawyer playing up front that this defense is going to be improved. We've already talked about some of the other young guys in the secondary, such as Hickman and Ransom, and obviously Craig Young. But also, one of the talks of the game was Ryan Watts, and
Yep.
particularly
Yeah,
that
he had the interception there on Jack Miller there. A lot of on the back shoulder throw. Yeah, Ryan Watts. But you know what? You mentioned that to me before we started the show. Like people were curious about why we were passing all over this. Like all 3 quarterbacks had their moments, right? But let's be honest. First of all, this is the first time we've had 3 very talented quarterbacks in the spring game. Since I can remember that we're all throwing the ball. And we've had Burrow versus Haskins, but other than that, we never had 3 guys that could just rocket the ball. But as you said, as we mentioned earlier, Sevyn Banks was out, Cam Brown is still out, Marcus Williamson. Those 3 are 3 of our most experienced corners, if I could spit it out. Proctor, I don't know if played all that much. It looked like it was a lot of Bryson Shaw and guys like that in the back deep safety, whereas Proctor will fill that role as the season goes on. So I think it was a chance for Combs and company to experiment. So would you say that maybe people don't need to panic as much when they see the passing stats?
Yeah, I think it's a tough situation for the defense when they're just running their base coverage that the offense has seen the whole spring. It's a offense, it's a defense like cover one is very basic. It's cat coverage, like who's gonna win the matchup when
Mm-hmm.
you have an inexperienced secondary. And what could
That's
be the
probably
best
intended just to challenge the young guys against our great receiving core, I would imagine, right?
absolutely. It's to see who can play right now and who needs to continue to improve, which is all of them. And all of them can have good moments. With the younger corners playing in this spring game, it's like that was Watts' first time ever in front of any sort of fan base,
Mm-hmm.
except for the championship game and the playoff game when he was not playing. And now this year, who knows what the capacity is? As a student, I hope it's full capacity, but
Yeah, we all
I,
do.
I think we're all talking about that one play to the back shoulder of Wilson where it was a little bit thrown to front side on the upfield shoulder, but he showed some skills there to locate the ball and to going from a half turn, so he was facing the QB to working back to Wilson's body. That's exciting because it proves that the Buckeyes could potentially have some good depth at corner, and we got Johnson and company coming in the fall. So young guys in the secondary who can play. What remains to be seen, what we didn't see in the spring game was how are the game plans going to come into fruition? And we know Alabama had success with running motion with
Oh,
Smith.
that's putting it lightly.
Oh yeah, putting it lightly, it was a bit of a disaster to
Yeah.
put it in. To put it in full honesty, it's definitely something that needs to be improved upon next year. And it's not something I can say I know exactly what they're going to do. Halfley always had coverage rotations checked. He ran a few blitzes, a few base blitzes at the right time. And I think Combs is going to learn what do I do at the right time against the right personnel. And I think Day wants to stay in that single high defense because it keeps it simple for the secondary, and it can be really hard for an offense to attack unless they're elite. And when they're elite, that's when we are going to rely on the front 4 to get it done. Like against Clemson, even though our secondary had struggled all year, the front 4 was getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyreek Smith is going to be coming back, and he's going to be a big boost. We know Harrison's only going to get better. And Jack Sawyer was another big talking point in this spring game. We all
Yeah.
know that he was one of the highest ranked recruits coming out, even
He
higher
is
than
another
Will.
Bosa. He is absolutely looking the part right now. And he, as Ryan Day said, he is moving up the depth chart. I was like, that's one way to put it. You know, I mean, he's making a case that you cannot keep me on the bench. It's just, you know, you're stupid if you do so. And I don't think they will keep him on the bench. I think you're right. I think defensive line is going to be pretty good this year. Tyreek Smith got. He showed an elite pass rush ability at the end of last year. The Clemson game, he was so key in that game. It was unbelievable. Of course, you got Javonte John Baptiste, who's also improving all the time. Zach Harrison, like you said. I think the interior with Terron Vincent, who got most improved player of the spring. Haskell Garrett, obviously, we know what he can do now. You know, Antoine Jackson had a great spring. Jerron Cage showed a lot of improvement. I think defense line is going to be good. And then linebackers have a lot of athleticism. Terraja Mitchell, I think, looked pretty good in the spring game against the run. Actually showing some good quickness to the hole. And actually, in what he showed more so than Borland did last year, is he showed pop. When he gets to you, you're going backwards. You're going
Yeah,
down.
replacing Borland would be Simon or Gant, and I think Simon has a lot of physical gifts, and I think the
Mm-hmm.
light is coming on for him. And then behind him is Eichenberg. I played against Eichenberg in high school.
Eichenberg's been great this
Yeah,
spring.
I played against him, and the year I played against him was his junior year, and they were lining him up all over the place. And his biggest strength was on the edge because he had so much length
Mm-hmm.
that it was kind of a mess on the edge for most tight ends or tackles to
And
have
don't
to.
forget Dallas Gann, of course. Who didn't play. He's going to be
Absolutely,
back this
he
year.
has the injury. So
Yeah.
Gannon, Eichenberg, and Simon, like, wow, that's like a even though they're all inexperienced and we need to see them, it's promising. And I think Eichenberg flashed because not necessarily is he the most explosive linebacker. No, but I think he's got some fluidity for his size and he can clog passing
He's
lanes.
pretty crafty in coverage too, from what I understand. So
Yeah, got a keen recognition there. Yeah.
exactly. And if Mitchell's improving, then I think our linebacking core, like you said, shows promise. But now we got to see him in a game situation. But they show promise. The defensive line is going to hold it up for them. And as you said, the secondary got a lot of much needed experience against. I mean, if you're going to get them better, who better to do that against our receiving core, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's not even fair. I don't care. You might as well reincarnate primetime Deion Sanders to go against this receiving core. It's insane how good they are. I want to mention, we'll talk about the offense in another video, but I'm just going to say the name Emeka Egbuka. Jeez, I knew he was an athlete. I didn't know his hands were that good. So
Mm, yeah.
um, that being, I don't want to go too far in it because we could do an hour. We're not going to do
Mhm.
that for this, but I do want to say one final point, Kieran. The
Yeah.
4.25, you said it's beneficial to Ohio State. You like the young talent we have. Was there anybody in particular that we don't know the name of that really stood out to you on the film?
Yeah. Everyone was talking about Eichenberg and Watts and Young and Hickman. And those were the guys I really did pay attention to. Those guys who stood out, I think everyone really did a good job of realizing who stood out. Simon is exciting. When we talked about him all the way back in, believe it or not, 2019 July, when we
Mm-hmm.
talked about him on this podcast, man, I'm excited to see what he can do. Uh, and one more point I'll make is even though it's five DBs on the field, the bullet is going to be that guy who can engage in the run. So we're trying to have a balance where if it's an RPO team, have a bigger safety that can clog up. I think like teams will try to run third level or second level reads where they're going to read the bullet or they're going to read the Will or Mike linebacker to or even the slot safety, try to put these guys in conflict. But with the bullet being far back, it can clog those passing lanes and protect the intermediate sections of the field. So that is the last point I'll make about the switch. And overall, there's some things to be excited about. And there's also a lot we're not going to know until week 1 against Minnesota.
That's so true. Kieran, as always, man, thanks for being on. We're going to have you on again because we're going to talk offense. We're going to dissect the spring game as probably more so than anybody because it's the last bastion of college or Ohio State football for several months, and we, quite frankly, we need to have a better guess as to what we're going to see this coming up season. And we're also going to talk the quarterback battle coming up because we got to see our first glimpse of that. And people I think are drawing too many conclusions from one game. But anyway, Kieran, thanks for being on, buddy. I will put your Twitter in the description so people can follow you, and you'll probably see it on the screen here when I edit the video. Guys, thanks as always. 1,000 subscribers again for Scarlet and Great Empire, Ohio State football with Scarlet and Great. Thanks as always to Chat Sports for all the work they do for us. And Johnny, God bless you, buddy. It's your birthday coming up on Monday. I think this video will be out. So happy 33rd, my friend. Uh, guys, thanks for listening. Kieran will be back with us. Appreciate it, guys. Goodbye. God bless and go Bucks.